Michael Jackson did not fight back the way most people expected. He did not call press conferences. He did not do interviews to settle scores. He moved quietly, strategically, and with a patience that most of the people who crossed him genuinely did not see coming. And when the dust settled, the people who went up against him almost always ended up on the wrong side of history. Today we are counting down the celebrities who picked a fight with the king of pop and lived to regret every single second of it. Starting at number 10, and this one sets the tone perfectly. Paul McCartney gave Michael Jackson the weapon that would be used against him, with his own hands. When the two first became friends in the late 1970s, McCartney took Jackson under his wing. They recorded duets together, including The Girl Is Mine in 1982 and Say 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 in 1983. During those studio sessions, McCartney talked openly about the value of owning music publishing rights, walking Jackson through exactly how lucrative it could be. Jackson reportedly joked back, "One day I will own your songs." McCartney laughed it off. He thought it was a jest between friends. On August 14, 1985, Jackson paid $47 million for the publishing rights to the majority of the Beatles' catalog, some 251 songs, outbidding McCartney directly. McCartney was devastated. He later said it was dodgy to do something like that, to be someone's friend and then buy the rug they are standing on. George Harrison was equally stunned, telling CNN he thought it was very strange because Jackson was supposed to be Paul's friend. McCartney spent decades trying to claw back ownership of his own songs. He filed a lawsuit in 2017 before Sony eventually settled. The lesson he learned cost him more than money. It cost him the belief that friendship has a place in business. Number 9. Eminem mocked Michael Jackson on national television and found out exactly what kind of player he was dealing with. In 2004, Eminem released the music video for Just Lose It, in which he dressed as Jackson and referenced the child molestation allegations that were consuming Jackson's life at the time. The video was provocative, personal, and designed to wound. Jackson did not stay quiet. He went directly to Los Angeles radio and told comedian Steve Harvey, "I am very angry at Eminem's depiction of me in his video. I feel it is outrageous and disrespectful. It is one thing to spoof, but it is another to be demeaning and insensitive." He then demanded that cable music channels pull the video. BET complied and stopped airing it. Stevie Wonder publicly called the video "kicking a man while he is down." But what happened next is what people remember most. Jackson's company held a 50% stake in Sony ATV Music Publishing, which went on to acquire publishing rights connected to a significant portion of Eminem's catalog. Jackson's former bodyguard, Matt Feuds, later said that behind closed doors, Jackson was remarkably calm about the whole thing, and that his team found out why soon enough. Whether the acquisition was direct retaliation or simply business, the optics were undeniable. Eminem dissed Jackson. Jackson quietly ended up owning a piece of his music. Number 8. Tommy Mottola called himself Michael Jackson's most important business partner. Jackson called him the devil and meant it publicly. By 2001, Jackson had delivered Invincible, what was supposed to be his commercial comeback. Sony, under Mottola's leadership, spent $25 million on promotion but released only 2 singles and 1 video. The album stalled. Jackson believed it was deliberate sabotage. In June 2002, at a fan event in London, Jackson told the crowd that Tommy Mottola is a devil. He then took it further at a press conference alongside Reverend Al Sharpton in Harlem, calling Mottola mean, racist, and very, very, very devilish. He held up a poster of Mottola with devil horns, a tail, and a pitchfork. He rode a double-decker bus through London with fans, holding a sign that read, "Sony kills music." The music industry was stunned by the directness of it. Mottola denied every accusation. But within a year, Mottola was out at Sony. The public humiliation had done its damage, and whatever was left of the relationship between Jackson and the label he had helped make billions through his Beatles catalog stake was finished. Number 7. Madonna tried to reshape Michael Jackson in her image, and he cut her off completely. The two were briefly romantically linked in the early 1990s, and their creative circles overlapped. Jackson was involved in early conversations about what became the song "In the Closet" from his 1992 Dangerous album. Madonna pushed for a more overtly sexual direction and pitched ideas for the video. But the personal dynamic fractured quickly. In private recordings later made public, Jackson described a night out where Madonna wanted to go to a strip club. He refused. She allegedly pushed back. He walked away from the entire dynamic. He later referred to her as a nasty witch and reportedly also called her a heifer during a phone call, which she later confirmed. After Jackson died, Madonna spoke movingly about him in public, expressing regret that people had not shown him more compassion while he was alive. She suggested that if people had simply cared more and shown Michael some humanity, things might have turned out differently. The woman who spent years on the receiving end of his most cutting private assessments was now his most public eulogist. If you are enjoying these stories, this is a great time to hit subscribe. We dig into the hidden histories behind the biggest names in entertainment every single week, and you do not want to miss what is coming next. Number 6. The media at large spent a decade publicly humiliating Jackson and has never truly reckoned with what it did. This is not one celebrity, but an entire class of them. Talk show hosts, comedians, entertainment journalists, and music industry voices who used Jackson as a punchline throughout the late 1990s and early 2000s. Some, like Cat Williams, have publicly apologized since Jackson's death, acknowledging that the pile-on was cruel and that they were wrong to participate. Williams admitted his apology came too late for Jackson to hear it. Others have quietly shifted their public positions without ever formally acknowledging the role they played. Jay Leno, who made Jackson a recurring target of jokes for years, has never issued a public apology. The contrast between how some of these figures spoke about Jackson while he was alive and how they spoke about him after he died is one of the starker examples of celebrity revisionism in modern entertainment history. Number 5. Joseph Fiennes played Michael Jackson on screen without the family's consent and immediately regretted it. In 2017, the British actor appeared in an episode of Sky Arts comedy series Urban Myths, portraying Jackson as a white man in a story about a road trip with Elizabeth Taylor and Marlon Brando. The Jackson family was furious. The episode was pulled before it ever aired. Years later, Fiennes gave an interview to The Observer in which he said, "I think people are absolutely right to be upset, and it was a wrong decision, absolutely." He acknowledged that he was one part of a larger chain of decision-makers, including producers, directors, and broadcasters, but he did not hide behind that. He said it plainly, wrong decision. Number 4. The people who doubted that Thriller would be successful are largely forgotten by history, but Jackson never forgot the music industry insiders who told him to scale back. When Jackson was pushing for Thriller to be a 14-minute short film in 1983, the idea was considered commercially insane. It had never been done. MTV was new. The budget required was enormous relative to what music videos cost at the time. Industry voices told him it was too long, too cinematic, too expensive, and too much of a gamble. Jackson pushed through anyway. Thriller became the most watched music video in history and permanently changed what the format could be. The people who told him to scale back are not in the history books. He is. Number 3. The promoters and industry figures who bet against the This Is It comeback tour found themselves staring at one of the fastest sellouts in concert history. When Jackson announced the This Is It residency at the O2 Arena in London in 2009, there were voices in the industry who questioned whether the public appetite was still there. They had not been paying attention. 50 dates sold out so quickly that additional shows were added. The demand was unprecedented. Jackson reportedly told an interviewer that he was the greatest entertainer who had ever lived. The people who doubted him were about to be proven wrong in real time. He died in June 2009 before the shows could happen, but the ticket demand alone had already answered the skeptics. Number 2. The journalists and commentators who framed the 2005 trial as a guaranteed conviction were left completely silent by the verdict. Jackson was acquitted on all 14 counts. The prosecutorial narrative that had been treated as fact by large sections of the entertainment media collapsed in a Santa Barbara courtroom. The anchors and columnists who had essentially convicted him in the court of public opinion had nothing to say. There was no comparable volume of coverage on the acquittal compared to the accusations. The people who had amplified the story on the way in went quiet on the way out. And the #1 celebrity who went against Michael Jackson and came out worse for it was the entire institution of the record industry that tried to contain him. From the moment Jackson decided he wanted to own his masters, control his catalog, and understand the business machinery behind his own art, he became a threat to every power structure in the music industry. Labels, publishers, managers, and media companies that profited from artists not asking too many questions all had reasons to want Jackson manageable. He was not manageable. He bought the Beatles catalog, he co-owned a piece of Sony, he knew what his music was worth, and he fought for it. He lost some battles, he won others. But the industry that tried to diminish him eventually had to reckon with the fact that the catalog they once tried to use against him is now worth, according to various estimates, well over $1 billion. The king of pop built a financial empire while everyone around him was betting he would fall. He did not fall, he was taken. That is the list. Every name on it went up against one of the most powerful forces in entertainment history and came out worse for it. If you want more deep dives like this one, the next video is already waiting. Go watch it now. We will see you there.